from the Apollo. So Apollo is looking for an application. They don't know what is the technology used at the backend. They don't know. So they are simply asking that I need an application. And this application can be used in multiple locations. They have a hospital in all different locations in India, outside of the India. So that means they have a different branches. Now they wanted to know if what is happening in the Mumbai branch or a Delhi branch. They wanted to know these informations. And they want this application to be a flexible. And this application has to be there in the cloud. Because whatever the activities are happening in the different branches, let's say whatever the activities are happening in the Madhapur branches. Now in Delhi, the person wanted to see the actions that are happening in the Hyderabad Madhapur branch. That means as soon as the data entered here, immediately it should go to the Delhi branch. So that's the reason they are asking the application, it should be available in the cloud. Now, the biggest problem here is the performance. Because when we say Apollo, some lakhs of customers will be there for Apollo. They will have some lakhs of customers only in India. Now, again, it is outside of India, another lakhs of some trillion, millions of customers will be there. Now, handle this data is we need to. So sometimes what happens is because of this weather, suddenly we see that some seasons, the customers are very high. Like in a day, some millions of customers might be coming to the hospital. So that data, we need to handle it very smoothly. So these are the different problems they have explained. Now, if you see here, these problems are in generic. Now, when the client explains the generic scenario, no, we should not go directly into the, okay, I have an application called a Salesforce, and then I can give you the Salesforce application where it is available in the cloud. And this is also handles the performance. Client will not understand. Client will not understand at all what you are talking because they don't know Salesforce. They don't know technology at all. Right? So we will not be talking at the first phase, the technology or this is going to help you. We will not do that. So this is the problem statement that they have provided. Now I'll tell to the client, okay, maybe we can have a discussion. In that discussion, before discussing with the client, we will say that this is in the email or verbally you will be getting these problems. I'm going to respond it. So we can have a one call or we can schedule a one call to discuss current market situation. Because as soon as we hear these problems, as soon as the companies hear this requirement or a scope of the project from the client, company will start doing the market research. Company will do the market research. Because before going to the call, now as soon as we receive it, a company will say that, okay, let's schedule a call with you for around, usually we schedule it for 1 hour. This is the starting of the call. Now we will say that, okay, we'll schedule the call. Let's discuss about more in detail. This is very high level. So company will say that we'll bring our experts into the call and maybe from your side, bring few members. Let's discuss little deeper So once this is agreed, then the first thing company wants to know is, like, we need to understand what are their expectations. Let's say I'm going to say, okay, so this problem is, okay, we have a client in the call. So I'll say that, okay, I understand that these are the problems. Now, I'll say to the client, okay, can we have a discussion, 1 hour discussion to make you understand how is our process? We need to explain them company standards and process. What is our process? Now, we'll be explaining the client about our process. So the first thing I'm going to explain about, if I take any project, what are the different phases will be available? Right? How can we start? If the client wants to have a relationship with the company, what is the process that company should follow? What is the process that client should follow? Now we will explain overall. Now let's see here. The first thing will be the pre-sales activity. We will explain them the pre-sales activity. In the pre-sales activity, before coming to the pre-sales activity, company does the market research. That means in the market, what is the currently running technology? Now we know that it is a Salesforce is the currently running the technology, but in Salesforce also, there are few things currently in the market which is high demand. Let's say data cloud, AI, and Einstein, right? So we will bring up this to the in front of the client. Okay, we experts of data cloud, we have a experts of AI, we have a experts of a Einstein. Now this is what is the use of it? Currently, these are the in the market. Now, what is the use of it? How it is going to benefit their project? And what is the cost of it? Do they really want to go for it? Maybe we can design data cloud, the taking some examples of the problems that they have mentioned in the previous previous session. So we can design few things, a kind of a proof of concept, and we can present it like this is the problem. In order to resolve this problem, what we can do is we can implement this one of the scenario, and we can draw that flow chart or a process flow or wireframe. We can design something. That means I'm drawing something here. So it is starts from here and executes it. So we are going to present little bit here. So this is the pre-sales activity. Now in the pre-sales activity, we are presenting it from the technical side. Just assuming that they might be having the issues of the when I say performance, maybe the users are a lot specific to the some diagnosis, right? How to handle the diagnosis details, how to handle the library, lab information, if there are any lab details are there, how to handle this. Assuming this, we will be drawing this diagram and explaining it. We don't know till now what is the in-depth problems are there with the company. Pre-sales are by looking at the high level, very high level. These are the problem statements are very high level. Any client is going to expect this is the one. So these discussions will happen in the pre-sales. Now, company says that, okay, let's go ahead in depth and discuss more in detail about our problem. So in pre-sales, company is going to explain about their company standards and what are their experts and what are their experts and how they can bring the like they will show that how the company is going to help us. So once the pre-sales is completed, if the client is agreed that okay, we can go for further, like this company is having a good standards and what are the strongest point, everything they will come to know. The client will come to know the strongest points of the company. Once this is done, then the next thing is that client will say that, okay, we can go ahead further in-depth details. Now we can discuss here the problems of the client. Now, when we discuss about the before problems of the client, they want to have some kind of a agreement. Okay, so we'll have this is the agreement which will happen between the company and client. Now, before the agreement, what are things will happen in the pre-sales? What you have understood, pre-sales activities.
Market analysis, design.
Design. So basically we will be explaining the client. What are our company strengths? And then what is companies, what is our role? Like we will bring the experts into the call. So we will explain our role and responsibility. Let's say in like right now, I'm going to present it as a Swapna IT services. So we will explain about the what is role and responsibility. And also along with this, we will talk about the our expertise, strengths, expertise in Salesforce. Also, we'll talk about the team strength. Good thing about the team we will discuss about. And also we'll discuss about the company strength. And then we'll talk about the how Salesforce is going to help them. And what are the Salesforce features are there. So experts in the company is going to present the Salesforce, how it is going to help and what are the features. And seventh point is very important, convincing them get this project approved. Right? So before we need to convince them saying that, okay, Salesforce is going to help you in order to resolve the problems of what are the problems or difficulties that you guys are facing it can be resolved. So we have to explain in the pre-sales. So outcome of this pre-sales is It will be a convincing the client to go with the project with our company. Now, once the company is agreed to go with the company, they have to sign the agreement, which is called as a NDA agreement. NDA agreement is nothing but going further, clients are going to give in-depth requirement, but you should not be discussing those requirements outside of this company. That means whatever we are going to provide, whatever the client is going to provide the scope of requirement or the requirement, whatever we are providing it, you should not disclose these requirements out of this company. That means we should not, like in Google or in internet, we should not be having this. These are very strict documentations. So once the company and clients are signed on this NDA, now the discovery session starts. Discovery sessions are nothing but where the company and client both are sitting. So from the client side, the project manager, business analyst, or architect, who are front face of the end users, they will bring all the experts from the client. Similarly, from company side, we will bring all the experts. Now, where we will have a discussion going in depth onto the analysis of the issues in the company. Analysis of issues of the problems in the client side. So in the discovery phase, we will talk about the what are their in-depth problems and what is the high-level solution that we can provide it for the each one. So that means in pre-sales, we know at the high level what is the expectation. Now we have to dig into the each one of this problem. Right? Let's say if I say here lab details. In order to get this lab details or where it is going to start and how it is going to end, who is going to submit this and who is going to what is the outcome of this and who needs this outcome, where should we be providing the details. So this individual top will have a more in-depth analysis how to implement it. So for this one, we will give the high-level solution and what kind of a domain that is going to support in order to implement this particular problem. Like this, for each in entire project, we will discuss about the each one of them. So we'll divide this entire high-level flow into the smaller chunks and we'll talk about the more details. That means discovery session is basically for the companies to understand more information, gather more information from the company. How they are doing it, what is their process, right? Everything we need to gather the information. So once this discovery phase is done, and if the client is agreed with the high level solution, for the next step, which is a time and budget. Now the client is approved the high level solution for the implementation of the project. So once they approved it, next we'll have a time and budget. Now the company will ask to the client saying that, okay, if you want to implement this solution, how long do you take it to implement this solution? And what is the cost? How much is client has to pay? And how you are calculating this budget? That means in order to implement this high level solution, who are the resources are required? And how you are calculating these resources budget? Everything we need to present into the client. And this won't be any discussion. This will be the written communication. Whatever the discussion happens, these discussions are the written communications. So that we'll have a proof later. So once it is budget is approved by the client, then client will say that, okay, let's start implementing the project. So we are signing on this budget. We are okay to pay this budget and we are signing it. As soon as we sign it, now the company is going to hire the members for this project. Let's say this is Apollo project. As soon as the company client is signed with this time and this budget, now the company is going to hire, if they do not have a internally, they are going to hire a BA. If they do not have it, if they have already, they will assign the BA to this project and they will gather the junior members, senior members, and senior developers and technical architect, solution architect. Now they will start building up this team. Company will build the team and they will assign this team to you will be working on the Apollo project. So once this is done, now next thing is that now we'll have a BA has to step in. Now BA has to understand what was done in the discovery phase, right? Gather this information, high level solution, and note down all the points. Note down all the points and then start discussing with the client to gather the requirements. Whatever we have understood, is that right? And on top of it, do we have any other requirement? Any other requirement? So we will be capturing all the requirements of the project. Assume that we are implementing the project from the base. That means Apollo is not using the Salesforce application. Now we have to implement this project from the base. Gather the requirements and we'll see that, let's say if I have given the time by December 1st, we will be completing 2024, we will be completing this project. So by December 1st, how to complete the implementing the requirement? Usually we will go with the sprint wise. It's basically the agile methodology. So we will see in depth what is the agile methodology. So right now the requirement is gathered and the BA is going to assign this requirement to the developers, to the design. Now each requirement should have a design. A requirement is basically, this is the phase of the foundation for a successful software, where we are ensuring that whatever we are going to implement it is BA has written everything correctly in this requirement. So once a BA part is completed, BA will tell the technical architect to build some kind of a design, how the development should implement it. What is the flow for this implementation? For every requirement may not be possible the design, but most of the requirement will have a design phase. Let's say I have a requirement to create a user. Create a users in the system. This does not require the design. So every requirement will not have a design, but wherever let's say if I have the requirement, lead management, implement a lead management. In that case, design is required. So based on the requirement, BA is going to inform the design team. I'm going to assign this requirement to the developer. So before the developer starts, can you design this requirement? So in the requirement, in the in the design phase. So we will be designing the roadmap or a solution for this requirement. And based on this solution, based on this roadmap, development team is going to look at this design and they will be implementing. So development team is going to look for the requirement plus design. Combination of these things, they will be implementing the code in the, they will be implementing the code. So development will be the solution, whatever the requirement is there, converting the requirement into the working code or transforming the requirement into the working code. That means here I am saying the development. In this development, admin will be there. Salesforce admin, Salesforce development, Salesforce LWC. Everybody comes into the picture of this development. So for development, we need an admin, we need a developer, we need a who has experience on the LWC. So they will be looking at the requirement and the design and transforming that requirement plus design into the working business logic. Now the next phase is once the development is completed, then we will be providing to the testing team. So testing team is, they look at the requirement. What is the requirement? And is there any design implemented for this requirement? And how the development is implemented. Combination of requirement, design, development, testing team is going to test that particular requirement or a functionality. So testing team has to look at requirement, what are the acceptance criteria are available here, and if there is a design has implemented for this requirement, what is the design part of it? Testing team has to understand the design. And what is the development team has implemented? What is the UI part of it? So testing team will not look at the code. They'll just focus on the UI, user interface. So based on this, they will see, okay, this is the UI and is it working as per the acceptance criteria of the requirement and as per the design. If it is not working, then they will raise the bug. We call it as a bug to the developer saying that this is not working as per the expectations. So development team has to fix that again and provide it to the testing team. Now the next one is a deployment. So once the testing team is saying that the functionality is working fine or the requirement is working fine as expected, then they will say that, okay, this is ready for deploying it. That means whatever the developer has implemented the code, now this code can move it to the production or a stage where the client can use this functionality and test their functionality. So in order to give it to the client, so we need to deploy it to the, we call it as a UAT or let's say production. Directly I'm taking the production. Production is nothing but a live environment. Have a production. So production is nothing but a live environment. So we have to deploy this code, whatever the developer has implemented, admin has implemented. So that logic has to move to the live environment. In order to move that, so we need to perform the deployment activities. So in this deployment activities, we will be pushing all the changes that is implemented by the developer to the live environment. This is a critical stage because till this point, everything is working fine. Till this point, everything is working fine. Now, while deploying it, you forgot some code to be pushed. Let's say you have written the 10 Apex classes. Out of 10 Apex classes, you moved only 9 Apex classes to the live environment. It will break the functionality. So you have to move all the changes, whatever is done, everything has to move to the live environment and need to test whether the changes are moved correctly or not. So there is a lot of activities happens in the deployment. So that's the reason in the deployment, it says it's a very critical stage. Entire team will be alert on this deployment part of it, including the client. Client also will be alert on this deployment part because we are pushing into the live system. That means we have to make sure that it is not breaking anything in their system. So that's the reason every team has to work on this during the deployment. Now, once the deployment is completed, okay, team says that the development team, testing team says that, okay, everything is working as expected. Once we say that everything is working as expected, then client, what they will ask is that, okay, you just moved your code to the production. Can you give me 3 developers or 2 developers or entire team standby? That means client is yet to experience this application. They are right now using it. So while using this application, I need some support from this team. Usually it will be 2 weeks of hypercare. That means after delivering the product to the live environment, we will be there for 2 weeks in order to support your issues. Because of our code, if you are facing any problem, my team will be available for 2 weeks, which is called hypercare. For every project, we have a hypercare. Hypercare is a must. We should be providing it. So hypercare is either it will be a 1 week or it will be a 2 weeks. It's based on the company decision and the client discussions. So if client says that, okay, it is fine for me, give only 1 week or 2 weeks. So usually most of the projects will have a 2 weeks of hypercare. Now, once this hypercare is done, that means we are done with our project. Now, after the project, if they are looking for any kind of a support going further also, let's say that in this entire journey till here, where we have traveled, client and company is traveled for almost 6 months. In this 6 months, client is like the way we are presenting the requirement, the way we are presenting the demo, the way we are discussing with the client. If the client is impressed with the company, going further, they will have more projects to this company. And also they request you to provide a support team. This is done by the development team, and there is another team will be available, support team. Now this support team, client will ask, can you provide a support team where we can pay additional budget on top of this? So for maintenance, we'll have a additional budget. Apart from this project, maintenance will have a additional. Because this team is a separate, the support team is a separate, development team is a separate. Now, as this support is going on, now the client will bring up to the company another project. They will give another project. So saying that again the problem. So we have some other problem with the company in our Apollo hospital. Now, as we have traveled for 6 months, I like the way that you guys are following the process and the standards, the expertise in your company. So we wanted to bring another project to the company. So these phases are keep on going. It never stops in the company. So in order to success the project, so we have to go through the total 11 phases. What are the phases that we have discussed? What are the phases that we have discussed? Project phases.
Pre-sales,
Pre-sales,
Discovery.
discovery.
Requirement.
What needs to be happen?
time and budget,
No. Before the discovery, what should happen? Now pre-sales is done.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Non-disclosure agreement.
NDA,
NDA has to be the company and client. So once the NDA is signed, discovery phase,
time and budget,
Time and budget.
time and budget,
Then requirements.
Requirement.
gathering the requirements,
design,
design phase,
development,
after design,
development,
development,
testing,
testing,
Deployment.
deployment,
hypercare,
hypercare,
Maintenance.
maintenance,
maintenance. In pre-sales, what are we doing it here in the pre-sales? What are we doing in the pre-sales?
Market analysis.
What are we doing in the pre-sales?
Market analysis.
Market analysis,
Designing.
Presentation.
Identifying the problems.
experts involvement. Company is going to present the experts.
High level information.
High level information, okay. What else? Company strengths,
Convincing.
Convincing them. Right. And team strength. In NDA, what are we going to do in NDA?
Problems will be not disclosed.
NDA, what we are going to
Non-disclosure
Non-disclosure
agreement.
agreement.
agreement between
Client
Client
and
and company.
Client and
company.
company.
non-disclosure of anything related to the project, right? Discovery phase. What are we doing in the discovery?
Gathering more information.
Standing the domain.
Gather more information.
Bringing high-level solutions.
Strong relationship.
Building a relationship.
Building the relationship.
Customer engagement.
Customer engagement.
And then
And
we will
closing the deal.
End-to-end discussion.
end-to-end discussion.
And we're closing the deal.
Closing the deal. And also will, while discussing about the high level solution, we'll also talk about the different technologies. Next, the time and budget. What are we discussing about the time and budget? What is the activities that happens?
Written agreement will be given here.
Sorry,
Written agreement.
written
Agreement.
written agreement regarding the
This budget and how many people will be allowed.
How long
How long the
time?
project is going to.
right, and also budget agreement. Project deadline along with the budget, right? How much time it will take and how much it costs, right? Next thing is the requirements. Regarding the requirements, what are we
Defining objects of the project clearly.
defining the
Objectives of the project clearly.
Project objectives.
objectives and acceptance criteria? Just a second.
Hello.
Sorry. So requirements defining the project objective, acceptance criteria. What else we will be doing in the requirements? That's it. And the next
Scope of the scope
scope of the
work.
right. Next one is a design phase. For design phase,
Involving
Blueprint of
development
the
and
software
testing.
solution.
Blueprint of software or project.
involving the
Development and testing.
no, here we will not involve the development and testing. Here the architect will come into the picture.
Giving guidance to developers or testers.
It's a blueprint or a
Helps the development team.
process flow where it will guide the development team. Testing team. Next is a development. Development. In the development, what are the activities will happen?
Business logic, customizations, configurations, data modeling, automations, flows, import, export.
Building the core.
Customization.
customization,
business logic,
automations,
business logic, automation,
data model,
designing the data model,
optimizing solution,
optimizing the solution,
data migration,
data migration, and then unit testing happen. Now coming to the testing, what are we going to do it in testing?
testing team mostly focused on UI
testing
to raise the bugs,
Quality,
bugs,
Testing the
quality,
quality of the project,
Testing on various browsers, mobile,
testing on various devices,
like mobiles and browsers.
finding the bugs,
testing the performance of the project,
bugs in the code,
raising the bugs. What is that?
desktop or mobile app versions,
That is a various devices, which is a desktop, mobile. Now they have something called end-to-end testing, which is
reliability,
regression testing. End-to-end flow. Now in the deployment, what are the activities will be done in deployment?
A very critical phase in
deploy
UPLC.
changes from
deploying the changes into production
deploy changes
end-to-end
from
flow,
development to production,
Changes to live environment. Now deployment can happen in multiple sandboxes also. Now here in this case, we are talking about high level phases. So there it will be a deployment to the live environment. Testing the deployed code. Is there any other activities we are doing it?
testing the end-to-end flow,
Testing functional flow end to end.
as per the requirement.
Right. Hypercare, what we will be doing in the hypercare?
1 to 2 week free support
2 weeks,
immediately
1
after
to 2 weeks
production.
support after production.
Team will be on the standby.
Team should be some standby. Two-week support, 2 weeks or 1 week support. Now maintenance is nothing but
Ongoing support, updates and enhancements.
long-term reliability.
paying additional budget,
Pay for support.
long-term support for the project that we have delivered. Now, is everybody clear with the 11 phases? Anyone is having a problem understanding the 11 phases? Bhargav Reddy. Where is Chandra? I cannot see Chandra. Bhargav, is that clear?
Yeah, ma'am.
Where is Chandra? Chandra was there initially. He is not there right now. Sai, is that clear? Suresh. And whoever is joined for the first time today, Gautam.
Yeah, it's clear.
Anyone still having a problem in understanding the 11 phases? Because as per this, we will be going further. Okay. So let's see the assignments. So explain the all different phases of the Salesforce project lifecycle into 2-3 lines. That is the homework one. Explain it clearly step by step. Take any scenario, problem statement, and explain different phases of the work. You take any scenario. Today we have taken the Apollo, right? Take a different scenario. The members who has completed, I would suggest take a different scenario and add a same homework, right? So we have a different scenarios like a bank, automobile industry, vehicle details. You take any scenario and the D-Mart, hotel, right? So take any different scenario and explain how can you explain the different phases related to that scenario. How will you overcome? So how do you explain that phases to the company in order to solve that kind of a problem? Problem statement execution in each phase, and what is the final output of the production? Now everyone has to create a new org. I hope if you are attending the internship, you should be knowing it, how to create a new Salesforce developer edition only for the internship. Though you have a trailhead account is already there, can I use it? Admin Salesforce developer edition, I have it, can I use it? No. Create a completely new one. So though you have a existing Salesforce editions, but I request you to create a new Salesforce edition for specific to the internship program. Do not use the existing Salesforce org. And the next one is, let's take a user story one. Let's say we have a Swapna IT services. It's a IT company. This is one. And then there is a Apollo Hospital is a client. Now Apollo Hospital is approached to Swapna IT services to have the web-based platform to automate their business. The one which we have discussed right now. And the Apollo wants an online platform with the different departments to provide the services to the patients in various locations. Now, this is at the high level from the Apollo side. Now, what Apollo is looking for it? Apollo wants the customized, they want the easily customized application And Apollo wants to use the application all over India in different branches. And they want the storage must be on the cloud. That means whatever the patient's data is there, the patient's data should be available in the cloud. And payment can be done using the different options with the payment link. Like a online payment in online payment, we have a directly connecting to the bank, GPay, PhonePe, or it is a cash. So where you will have a different options. They want the different options. Good performance without any load. So especially Apollo is looking for a performance. It should have a good performance. Though there is a lot of customers, we do not want any load onto the application. And they should have a proper statement. And also they wanted to see at the end of the first quarter or a second quarter, they wanted to check what is the users count, what is the patients count, how many patients are reached, how many patients are queued, how many patients are still continuing. They want some kind of a report. So that is the overall they are looking for the Apollo. So the sixth one will be they need some kind of a report to track the information of the patient. So these are the few points that Apollo has given. Now these points, they are especially looking. Whatever we implemented, we have to focus on this. Whatever the request from the Apollo is there. So overall, we need to fulfill this. Now this is first user story, project level. Now let's see here problem statement. So the problem statement is provide the information to the client Apollo Hospital. This is the problem statement. Provide the information to the client. Now let's say, for example, in the pre-sales, we have to explain the client. What you will be explaining to the client, you need to write down all the answers here. Similarly, what is your role and responsibility in Swapna IT services? When you are explaining to the client, what is the role you are playing it and what is the responsibility you need to explain to the client? How do you present it yourself? What is your expertise in Salesforce? And what are your team strength? You have a team. So what is your team strength? You have to explain your team strength. What are your company strengths? And how Salesforce can help them with the Salesforce features. Now, by providing all these 6 steps, you need to convince the client. So you need to answer this in pre-sales. How do you convince by providing all these answers for the 6 questions? What is the best way to present it? So similarly, you need to write down the questions for the discovery and answers as well. Both you have to write down. In discovery, what is the questions that might get it from the client and what we can answer? How can we answer for those questions? So this is the assignment. So you need to complete it by next Saturday. I would suggest complete and submit it to the same email ID, Swapna Salesforce internship. You need to share it, the document. Do not send the email, share the document. Yes, you need to, not the trial head, you need to create a new developer edition. Like when we are doing the Tavish, you are attended admin development LWC, right? So when we started the admin, we have created a new Salesforce developer edition, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, similarly for internship program, you need to create a new developer edition. Do not use the one which we did it for the admin development LWC. What are the practice we have done it? Do not use that Salesforce edition. I request everybody to create a new edition because we will be implementing the project there. It's kind of end-to-end project.